Hello and hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more Fortnite news. This, of course, being week number 3, solo qualifier number 2 for the World Cup. We're going to break down the results for all of you. A brand new set, so a brand new format. You know, usually I go from the least popular regions to the most popular. Let's start off with the most popular from now on and then go to least popular. That, of course, starting out with North American East. It was absolute insanity this past weekend. I'm sure most of you guys who watch this have probably seen it already. That being Tfue, who managed to stream his entire run to qualifying for his first event for the World Cup, that being solos, and he does so in first place, breaking 200,000 viewers along the ride, and it was absolutely insane to see a guy pull that off. His talent is literally unbelievable at this point, and that's going to be a historical moment, at least for me, for Fortnite history, how he actually managed to qualify for World Cup that we're not going to see many people manage to do. Now, on top of that as well, we had his own teammate, Funk, managed to qualify on top of that. We also had Psalm up there. I would say a great run. Niddle also qualifying. If you guys watched Niddle week 1, he had a nice top 20 finish, so great to see improvement from him. And Clicks, Clicks almost manages to qualify this week after qualifying for duos last week. North American East is, again, as we expected, flooded with talent out there, but the biggest debate right now, the biggest story, which I'm really curious what you guys think about that, has to be the clip around SEN Animal late game in one of his matches as well, which could have cost him a spot, and also, of course, his spot with $50,000 cash going with that spot. I'm going to play you guys the clip, and you guys can answer the question, did this run here, did this bug here cost him 10 whole points, which is the difference between him not qualifying and qualifying for the Fortnite World Cup. And although with this game being RNG, we will never know if that run would have been a 10-point run. It seems, somewhat likely that was going to be cost him around that point marker. But either way, the fact is this: he had a chance to qualify, and it was not his own personal skill which took that chance away. It was the game taking that chance away from him. And especially when it's $50,000 at least for qualifying on the line, you can understand completely his frustration when that kind of thing happens. Just a devastating story to hear. Besides that, though, we have Hogman, Snood, Bugga also making their continued really good runs. They have not qualified yet for solos, or at least not in this run itself, but still making improvements. I think Hogman as well making vast improvements, especially after accusations from last week stretching back to fall skirmish, continuing to prove he is a very, very experienced player as well. North American East was by far and away the most dramatic region. Some crazy stories come out of there this past weekend. And for North American West, I got to give credit where credit is due. I don't really like how the Fortnite guy does a lot of content here on YouTube, but he definitely has an eye for talent out there, signing a few players, and actually had a pretty stellar run for their duos last week. This time around, Epic Whale has now qualified out of North American West, in doing so in pretty strong fashion. So congrats to that, of course, over there. A huge accomplishment for the organization. We'll see if he, goes elsewhere or is signed elsewhere. Kangarna, though, being represented very well by their player base over the last 2 weeks. Alongside that, Liquid Scented, of all players out there, to almost qualify alongside Kayun very shortly. Only other notable names out there that I at least saw was Myth, right outside top 40 as well. So nice to see him still giving a strong try. Definitely a possibility for future qualifications. North American West compared to North American East, of course, a lot less competitive. I am still surprised more players are not trying to come over here for solos and at least give those 2 spots another shot. And of all the regions out there, competitively wise, next to North American East, that being Europe, we saw a ton of unknown / semi-known names manage to qualify in just about every spot. Dementos luckily snagged a spot himself. Outside that, though, you have Benji and, of course, Mr. Savage. They managed to qualify last week for duos and continue to make very, very strong solo runs, but just not strong enough. We have Letshi 1 point away from qualifying as well. So kind of just, it really hurts when you actually cheer for players and all of a sudden they are just 1 point away from a World Cup spot and $50,000 in the line. And alongside that, we have other players out there you might be recognizing, Fnatic Verox being one of them. It's really some really solid runs out of him, especially week 1, and making some improvements. Definitely a top 20 placement consistently, just not making strong enough runs quite yet. I would not be surprised to see a Fnatic member somehow manage to qualify out of Europe, hopefully in the coming weeks, but Verox this week just falls a bit short. And then for Oceania, I'm not going to lie to you guys, just not really anything too huge out of this region so far this week, not even some big names that I could really recognize for all of you, so we'll skip past this one for now, but hopefully come back next week when we see maybe some Renegades members pop off. Asia pretty much the same way, not too big of a deal. Besides, I am watching Cloud9 duty every single week. He's had top 20 placements pretty much everywhere he goes. He's made at least least the finals out of Asia so far every single week. So he's hopefully going to make some improvements and breakthrough as well. And then very lastly for Asia, I saw Leo break the top 50. And besides that, really not too much out of those regions. If you guys like this new format where I go from most popular regions to least popular, please leave a like or a comment down below because I want to touch on the more important stuff earlier on throughout these qualifiers. But as always, my name is Jake. I hope you all enjoyed the very short breakdown of the Fortnite World Cup Qualifiers solo week number 2, but overall week number 3 this past weekend. And of course, duos returns this next week. We still have many weeks left for all your pro players out there to try and manage to qualify. And still, I'm very sure some very shocking things coming soon. As always, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Fortnite News. And until next time, take care.